This DCFTA will boost the GDP, the wealth of your country very quickly. After 2-3 years, the country will have a boom in its wealth. So having a boom in its wealth, meaning that you are going to have a boom in export, a boom in investment, so you are going to have an increase of salaries for people. You are going to have job creation and increase of salaries. So again, the country will move a next step, which will be the step which was followed by some countries I was referring to, Poland, Hungary, Czech Republic, which were looking like Georgia 20 years ago and which are now closer to the standard in terms of salaries, in terms of job creations, closer to countries like Italy, Germany, France or Netherlands. So that we offer to Georgia is clearly a medium long-term process, but it's clearly a choice which should lead to bring the country to a totally different level of development. So what will be the most successful story for Georgia through the DCFTA in terms of export? We don't know, because Georgia is mostly exporting only agri-products toward the EU. So thanks to this agreement, Georgia will attract EU investment. Not only EU investment, maybe Japanese or Korean investment. Why? Because Georgia will be the entry gate for the Europe. In doing so, it will attract investors, and maybe investors in textile or in mechanics will spot Georgia as a country for opportunities. So the success story has to be built in Georgia itself. We hope to see two booms once the agreement will be enforced. The first boom will be the goods exported from Georgia toward the EU, because that's the big partner which attracts the smaller partner exports. We are pretty sure that Georgia will attract European investment and you will see a boom. Why? Because the European companies will discover that in Georgia, Georgia is sharing the same governance than the one they are used to in the EU. Because of this, they will be attracted to Georgia and they will invest in Georgia. Food security is concerned, what we call the food safety, we call it from farm to fork. It's clear that it will be more difficult for medium-sized enterprise and for little farms to comply with this. But we experienced this in the past with countries which had free trade agreement with the EU, like Poland, like Spain, like Moldova, like Ukraine. And we know that in the beginning there is an effort to be made in a country, but we know that in the medium and long term, that's a prospect for the small and medium-sized enterprise, which will be integrated into the European market. So we know it could be difficult in the first period, but then it will be easier for this company, because during a couple of years, this company will have to adjust to the EU standards. But adjusting to these EU standards means that they will reach a kind of world-class standard, which will then allow for prospect for exporting, in particular toward the EU, which is the largest and the richest market in the world. You are a farmer and you manufacture honey. If you have a small business and you remain in your village, you're not going to be affected by the DCFTA. But if you want to develop, you will introduce modern standards to your production. In doing so, you will be offered prospect for exports. And in that sense, first you will have to adjust, which could be not the cost, but which will be an investment. And if you are ready to do this investment in a medium long term, you will benefit from export facilities and you will make your business growing to a very important stage.